Hello. Welcome to my channel. My name is Constant Summer, hence the title of the name Constantly Summer. And I wanted to create a channel just to talk about kind of beauty products, anything from face moisturizer to the perfect, beautiful, smoky eye. Makeup is fun. I think makeup is fun anyways, and I hope that that's why you're here as well. So I wanted to create a fun environment in which I can hopefully share some of what I know with you and you can share what you know with me. And the most fun part is hopefully we can kind of explore some new things together. So getting into it for today, it's the summer, so I wanted to talk about foundations that are good for oily or oily combo skin or foundations that are mattifying, because everyone knows that summer equals heat and heat equals sweat, and sweat and foundation are just not something that are fun to deal with. So I have only specifically drugstore today is what we're going to discuss, but I've got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 foundations. I can put down in the description box if there's a specific foundation that you wanted to hear. I can put down the timeline below so you can click to it. But without further ado, let's get into these foundations. So the first one I want to talk about is the only sheer coverage one that I wanted to try. Oh, this is also important as well. I personally have a oily combo skin, so that's going to be the perspective I'm talking about these foundations with. And the first one we're going to talk about is the Almay Smart Shade. Like I mentioned, it's the only sheer tone one that I wanted to try out because, you know, for summer, something that's light is nice to have. It looks like this. And the specs for it are, it says that it's a SPF 15 and then it has kind of automatic tone like adjustment correctors in it. And it actually, it's kind of trippy because you can see it. So when you take the foundation out, it has like these tiny little black dots. And then as you rub it into your skin, it disappears and blends to become your perfect color match. I have to say though that this was a hugely massive disappointment. I had heard a good review about it, so I was like, yay! And I tried it. There's literally no pigment to it whatsoever. It was like putting on a moisturizer with SPF. I don't know if I have a lot of red in my skin tone naturally, so it's possible the foundation was matching the red in my skin and that's why I didn't notice a difference. But it literally didn't give me any tint whatsoever. I know it's a sheer coverage, but I still expect a sheer coverage to kind of balance things out and make things look a little bit less splotchy. I'm not expecting like high pigmentation, but I am expecting evening out. And that's what you get like when you use CC creams or BB creams. They are a sheer coverage, but I've used plenty where I can still tell that I've put something on my face, and while it's a natural finish, it's still doing what I need it to and evening things out. So I have to say that the Almay Smart Shade was kind of a downer for me. Moving onwards, so the rest from now are going to be a high, I'd say medium coverage to buildable. I normally apply my foundation with a damp beauty blender, and a damp beauty blender, it's already going to be kind of thinning out your foundation, but it's also very easy to build with a damp beauty blender. And the next one I'm going to talk about, it's funny that I just talked about a damp beauty blender because this is one I would actually recommend applying with a brush or with a dry sponge. And it is the Rimmel London Stay Matte. Looks like this right here. And it is a mousse, and it truly is. It's not a liquidy foundation at all. It has a very whipped consistency to it. And it says lightweight and shine control. And I do have to say, as far as it being lightweight, it is lightweight. As far as shine control, it does control shine. So all good things in that regard. The only con that I really had with this foundation is it sticks to your dry patches. I get dry patches, like, of all the places, right above my lip. I'm probably constantly dehydrated because I'm not drinking enough water, but that could be for a different video. But this clings to the dry patches, and I've used other mousse foundations before and noticed that it's happened before. So I would recommend it if you are completely oily skin. I think it would be nice, and it is mattifying. As far as if it lasts the whole day, I can't attest to that because I had to take it off because it didn't work well for me. But I know that it is mattifying. It does have a nice feel to it, and it is pretty. It oxidizes maybe a little bit, but I think everything oxidizes a tiny bit, to be honest. And the color selection isn't the best, but I would still advise checking it out if you've got oily skin. Moving along, we have the Maybelline Fit Me, and it claims to be matte and poreless. Specifically, this one is targeted towards normal to oily skin. Looks like this. And then that's the back of the cap. I know it's kind of all twisted around. And this one, when I first put it on, so it does go on matte, and then it also does slightly reduce the appearance of pores. Not anything major where my mind was blown away, but it maybe did have a mild smoothing effect. It also claims that it's a natural finish, which I feel like it's funny. It's a natural finish. It actually did thin out quite a bit when I put it on, so I could see it being a natural finish. My big problem that I had with this guy here, though, is it was hard to build up, and also after I wore it I wore it to school, so it was probably about 6 hours. When I looked in the mirror, it was starting to break up on me, so I don't think it lasts for a long period of time all that well. And what I mean when I say that this one broke up on me, if you have oily skin, then there's a large possibility you're going to have larger pores. It's just kind of the two go hand in hand a lot of the times. And obviously your pores are what secrete your oil. And I noticed that my pores, it was like the foundation was kind of caking or matting around my pores, specifically on my chin and around my nose. And I don't know if the foundation was trying to mattify all the oil that my body was producing, but in doing so, it actually accentuated my pores, defeating one of the purposes of the makeup, and it also broke it up so it didn't last for a long time. So that one was kind of a meh. Now we're going to get into some ones that I actually did enjoy. The next one is the CoverGirl Clean Matte. Looks like this right here. And it says that it's clean, so it's supposed to be like healthy for your skin and whatnot, not cause acne or anything like that. It's matte and also specifically for oily skin. And I think that's about it as far as the benefits that it claims to have. Yeah. And this one is interesting because it says that it's matte, but you put it on and then you're like, do. Sometimes you'll need to give like foundation like a couple seconds to like dry down and set for you. This does not dry down though. It's weird. It mattifies once you put a setting powder on it. So I don't know if it was specifically designed where it's only going to be really mattifying if you use it with the clean powder that they're also selling. I know they've kind of been doing a whole marketing campaign for it, but so for the mattifying aspect of it, I didn't think it was that great until I actually put a powder with it. And for the longevity of it, it was okay. It did break up a little bit on me around my chin and nose area. Not as bad as with the Maybelline though. The Maybelline I think was a little bit worse. And for shine control, I didn't think it was the best either. I don't think this one or the Maybelline one were the best for controlling shine. That being said, it is now time to get in some of the ones that actually did help control the shine. And the first one that I'm going to talk about is the Neutrogena Nourishing Long Wear Makeup Tone Correcting Complex. It has a SPF of 20, physical blockers, titanium dioxide being the main one that they list for it, and it claims that it lasts for 12 hours. Realistically, you should not be wearing your makeup for 12 hours though. I think around 8 hours is kind of what they say is the max. And what else? Oh yes, it also says that it actually will improve the tone of your skin the longer you wear it. Now, that sounds kind of hoaxy, I'm not gonna lie, and I was like, it's a foundation, it's not gonna do anything for me. But I worked in a derm office and they actually really like Neutrogena a lot. They recommend it because they do think it's good for the skin. And funny enough, I actually used this foundation for around 3 to 4 months in a row. And it really did like help improve my skin. A lot of the times I know we'll take off foundation and it almost is like your skin is like oxygen, and it's like ah! It's really, really excited to be able to breathe again. And you can kind of see a little bit of irritation when you first take it off. With this one though, I actually noticed my skin still looked healthy when I took off my foundation. It's not the kind of foundation where you take it off and then you wake up the next day and you look at your skin and you're like, I need to put foundation back on again, because sometimes when you wear makeup, it can almost perpetuate your need to want to wear makeup because it can clog your pores and do a variety of different things. Sorry, my phone just beeped at me. Ignore that noise. But this one actually doesn't. For like this one, I could wear my makeup literally going back and forth every other day, and I wore foundation when I wanted to, but my skin also looked good, so it didn't make me feel like I had to continuously wear foundation. I mean, I like foundation though, so I wore it. But it also did a good job. I have a lot of red in my, like, this area of the face. It's just part of my skin. This does a good job covering that in like a natural way, and it does last a long time. When it does start to fade, I wore it this week to kind of refresh my memory about it. It fades very nicely. It does fade when you wear it, but it doesn't awkwardly break up on you. It just kind of gradually fades away. Now, for the cons, there's a couple. This oxidizes orange on me. Even if it's potentially in the right like shade area, I'm slightly tanner so I can get away with it, but when I'm at my fairest, I really don't like it when you put on a foundation and then you look at it at the end of the day and you're like, these are not the same color anymore. Not even close to the same color anymore. So it pulls orange on me, and that also kind of ties in for the color. I think the color is the biggest issue that I have with this foundation. Their color selection in general for all Neutrogena products is very, very limited, and that's kind of frustrating. I think if you're in a middle range, you'll be able to find something, but if you're on a very fair end of the spectrum, or if you have a like nice deeper tone to your skin, it's going to be a little bit harder to find something that's going to be a true match. So this one, good, but still some cons. The last two now that I'm going to talk about, the Revlon Colorstay. It's for specifically for combination oily skin. It has a SPF of 15. Once again, it is a physical blocker, the titanium and zinc, and it says that it lasts 24 hours. I haven't tested it that long. This does have a nice look to it. Does last long. It doesn't oxidize that poorly either, which I greatly appreciated. So it's a fair tone, and it stays as a fair tone. For the oil, which I think is one of my favorite parts about it, it doesn't break up a lot on my skin, and also it lasts a long time. When you are oily, you can't help your beautiful illumination from shining through. It's just, it's what's gonna happen, but this does help keep it at bay. So I highly recommend the Revlon one. Also, it goes on very natural. It has a nice buildable coverage to it, where I normally will do one thin layer just because that's what looks the best, I think. But this one goes on with a natural medium coverage finish to it. The only thing I will say is in regards to texture, I do have large pores around this area, and accentuates is a bit too harsh. It doesn't accentuate my pores, but you see my texture very clearly when I'm wearing this foundation. Call me crazy, but I don't always think that's a bad thing. I think it can make your foundation look a little bit more natural. Obviously, if you have foundation like caked on, you're not going for a natural look for one thing, and if it accentuates your pores, it's going to look bad. But if you're doing like one thin layer with a beauty blender, I think a little texture peeking through makes it actually look more like your skin. So that's it for the Revlon, and the last one that we are going to talk about is the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte 24 Hour. That is a lot to say. And this one does last a long time. It claims the 24 hours. This one, I think, it lasts the longest, the best. I'll look at it after a full day. Makeup has not broken off. It is still in place, still has great coverage. So thumbs way, way up on that. The only thing that I personally think is funny is it's like Infallible Pro Matte, but that's kind of deceptive because it says that it's a demi matte finish. So instead of like an ultra matte, it's a bit more of a natural finish, for lack of a better natural. It's a natural finish, for lack of a better word. This is what it looks like. I don't think I showed you. I don't think I showed you the Revlon either. So let me show you that really quickly. This is what the Revlon one looks like as well. You can tell I've worn it a long time. So back to the L'Oreal. It's really pretty, lasts a long time, doesn't oxidize on you, which is another great thing. Checking the back to see if I'm missing anything, because this one pretty much does everything that it claims. And it does feel airlight. This one says that it feels airlight. It does feel nice, but one thing I did notice through, and this was the only one I really noticed it with, is that it feels cakey after you've been wearing it for a while. It does not look cakey. It doesn't fall into the lines, though I was smiling and I was like, I can feel it. I can feel it creeping into my lines. And then like I was checking my face like every 5 minutes after that because I was being paranoid, but you literally couldn't tell everything. It still looked beautiful, but you can feel it though. This is one that you can feel after you've been wearing it for a while. So that kind of sums up all of the drugstore foundations that I wanted to talk to you that I think are good for oily combination skin. Even if you don't have oily combo skin and you're looking for a good matte foundation for the summer or in general if it's what you like, I still think these are worth checking out. They're really pretty. The Revlon and the L'Oreal in particular are gorgeous. The L'Oreal makes me think of one side note to mention. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but as someone who has combo oily skin, I know the L'Oreal has something really popular called a Lumi foundation, but Lumi foundations don't work so well when you already have your natural glow, because a Lumi foundation almost makes your skin more oily. Not even almost, it makes your skin look more oily. I think my camera is freezing on me every time I say something bad about it, so it knows I'm offending everyone who likes the foundation. And the only other thing that I wanted to say in this video is kind of a tip trick for people, this is just in general, for everyone with foundation. Think of your foundation is like the middle of a three-way step. 4 if you think about a setting spray, but you need a good primer, you need a good foundation, and then you also need a good setting powder. So your foundation is pretty much like the meat of your sandwich. It's a big portion of your sandwich, but you very much need a good primer as well as a good setting powder to maximize these products, to really help out with oil control in particular. It's what's going to lock things down, it's what's going to keep things from moving around on you. So don't forget, it's not just about the foundation, but it's also about some of the other products as well. And with that being said, that concludes this video. Thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate it so much, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!